Hey everyone, I'm the Rev, and the launch of Project Motor Racing is finally upon us. Now, I was given access to a build of the game so that I could give it a try and then tell you guys what it was like and if it was worth your money on launch day. Now, the usual disclaimer, Giant Software had no input on this video whatsoever. I can say exactly what I want and I'll be doing just that. I don't say things to be controversial and I don't say things for clicks. I'm just here to give you an average sim racer's review of a game that I was looking forward to. Now, after my initial hour and a half or so with the game, unfortunately I felt a little bit like this.
If you can't say something nice, don't say nothing at all.
However, the next day I got back in the rig and I sunk some more hours into the game, and I have to say that there is some promise here. However, there's also a good few issues. So we're going to start with the good. The menus. Now, when you first load up the game, the menu system I think is really slick. You've got easy access to most of the options that you could possibly want. The car models, they look fantastic, and I just felt that they were super easy to navigate around. There was also some nice touches. For example, when you pick a particular car, you can also edit the cockpit view before you even get onto the track. I found that a really nice little touch. The car models themselves within the menu system, I felt that they were all absolutely beautiful, really highly detailed, nice textures, overall great solid chunky models, really like the menus. In terms of setting up the controls, it was dead simple. The game picked up every piece of hardware that I had, the Simucube 2 Pro, the SimLab XP1 pedals and the Gomez X29 wheel. It even picked up my button box, so I can't argue with that, and it was all really easy to set up. Now, in terms of the graphic settings, I had absolutely everything on Ultra. Now, I run a very beefy PC. I'll put the specs on screen right now. However, without using DLSS, I could not get the game to lock to 100 frames per second. Now, I have no issues with using DLSS. I like it. I feel like it cleans the image up. However, there's certainly some problems with DLSS on this game. So the game gives a good first impression from the menus. However, we had to jump onto the track to see what it was like. So I jumped into the Lamborghini hypercar around Spa because that is a combo that I am very familiar with, and that way I could test it against other simulators. And what you're about to see is my actual first drive reaction. These are my first laps on Project Motor Racing. Interesting. It certainly was interesting. I don't know what I was feeling coming through the force feedback, but it was not like something I'd felt in any simulator before. This car was absolutely terrible through Eau Rouge and Raidillon. But I thought, no, it's okay, stick with it, we'll do it again. Maybe the tyres aren't up to temperature. We'll do a few more laps and we'll try and get our head round it and see if we can improve it, or see at least if it feels any better after a lap or two. So here we go, here's the second run through. The tyres are nicely up to temperature. This should feel much better, yeah? Surely. What on earth is that? Wow. Unfortunately, this car felt absolutely horrible. It didn't feel like Automobilista 2, it didn't feel like Le Mans Ultimate, it didn't feel like Assetto Corsa. It felt shocking, it really did. I don't know what it was, but it skirted and danced all over the track. It didn't feel like it had any grip. There was no conversation whatsoever between the front or the rear. I don't really think I had any idea what the front was doing at all. So this wasn't a particularly good start. However, we jumped out of this car and into a few others to see what they were like. It's the Storm. Oh, look at that. Oh yeah, you. But unfortunately, it didn't take me long, just a lap or two, to realise that I didn't like this car either. Once again, force feedback, it just felt kind of non-existent. There was loads of force feedback at some points, no force feedback at others. In terms of what the front of the car was doing, not a clue. The most force feedback I got and the most information I got from this game was from the gravel. As you can see there, once you hit the gravel, I got loads of feel, loads of detail, but in terms of actually from the track itself, there was just hardly anything, and I just couldn't get on with it at all. I just couldn't get a feel for the brake pedal. I just could not get any kind of like flow going, if that makes any sense, on the track. It just didn't feel good, not at all. So I thought, right, enough of this having the track to yourself, let's try the AI. Maybe racing with the AI, I can get some kind of feel for it. So we gave that a go. This just happened off the start. Get ready. Get ready. You're going to see something real special here, boys. Where's he going? Now, we just swapped that again. Now, the AI on Assetto Corsa gets some stick. But I've never seen it do this. I've never seen it do this. This is interesting, this one. Yeah! No. I have no idea what that's about. No idea. But we reset and we went again. Now, I have to say it wasn't terrible. I mean, it's not terrible, not by any stretch. See, told you. It's just a bit rough around the edges in places. A good few places, way. Now the AI, they seemed racy enough with each other, but in terms of the player, they just ignored you completely. And that was my main problem with the AI. They seemed quick enough, however, they just ignored you completely. You could be 100% alongside them, and they did not give a monkeys. They were just turning on you like you didn't exist, which resulted in 1 or 2 crashes. And overall, you had to give them a really wide berth. I didn't actually feel like I could race them like you can race the AI on Automobilista 2, for example. So I found the AI actually really frustrating to race against. But the number one jarring problem was still the handling and lack of force feedback. I can definitely feel the back of the car slide, but you just don't get any information about what the front's doing at all. And that was something that I was just struggling to get past. Some cars I actually found undrivable. This Dodge Viper, for example, round Silverstone, it was just an absolute nightmare. There was just no information at all coming from the front of the car. Loads from the rear, fine, I knew exactly what the rear was doing, which more often than not was sliding all over the place. However, the front of the car was just non-existent, completely numb, and I can't drive a car like that. I definitely need to know what the front of the car's doing. And there's just another example of where I was right alongside that car and he just decided to turn in on me. Didn't give a monkeys whether I was there or not. So I jumped into another combo that I was massively familiar with, the Mazda MX-5 around Lime Rock. Loads of laps on this on iRacing. It's not terrible, there's just not a great amount of feeling in the force feedback. There's not like a really good feel on the brake pedal either. It's a bit vague. There's only bits of detail there, not a lot. I mean, I wouldn't say the car felt floaty. The car doesn't really feel like anything. That's the problem. I mean, on iRacing there's a load of feel for like what the back of the car's doing. There's a load of feel on the brake. And there's just not really a great deal of feel at all there. I mean, it's not terrible. It's not terrible. You know what the internet's like? The internet will just blow everything way out of proportion. But I wouldn't say it's advanced force feedback or advanced physics or any of that gubbins that they like to tell you in the trailers. Okay, so the handling just isn't there in my opinion. What about the graphics and performance? In some scenarios whilst driving the car, it can look okay. I mean, it's not going to frighten any of the other simulators, but it looks alright. However, these replays, these are locked to 30 frames per second for some reason, no idea why. Huge issues when it comes to brake up from DLSS. It just doesn't look good at all. In fact, it looks terrible. And considering the trailers that they release where the game looks magnificent, you have to wonder why this is the replay system that you get. Now, I know you may be thinking, well, who gives a monkeys about replays? Well, as a content creator, I need the replays to basically make my videos a bit more exciting. So when they look really poor, that's obviously not very good for me. Now, I've been in love with replays since they look like this. The original Gran Turismo, even on the original PlayStation, looked absolutely fantastic to me, and I loved the replays, and ever since then, I've always loved the replay system on a racing game. Okay, so far, it's took a bit of a battering. However, there is hope. Driving this Porsche around Sebring, this was a car where it actually felt like a car. I could have a feeling for the front end and the rear end, and the force feedback was really good. This combo gives me hope for Project Motor Racing. This is actually really good. This Porsche's not bad at all. Not bad at all. Unlike all the other cars that I drove, I had a feeling for the front end and the rear end. There was detail coming through the force feedback and it just actually felt like a car. Some of the cars that I'd driven were way off and so far off other simulators it's unreal. However, this one, as I say, really fills me with hope. If they can tweak other cars so that they feel a little bit more like this, then we could be cooking with gas. Now, as the game was coming to console, there was one last thing to try, the game with a controller. Okay, so we'll try it with the controller because loads of players are going to be playing it with the controller while it's released on console. So, been a long time since I've used a controller and chase cam. Let's see what it's like. Load of wheel spin off the start. Sounds alright. Looks nice though, the sunset's nice. Oh, just dive on the Toyota. Let's give the AI a couple of corners, sort themselves out. Try not to touch anyone. Nearly cleaned out the Toyota. That's not bad, that, to be fair. That feels quite tight. I'm afraid it is a better game on controller. This is a better experience than playing it with the SimuCube wheel that's in front of me. And that obviously is not great for PC sim racers. Ooh, sorry, mate. My bad, my bad, my bad. I mean, for those on console, fantastic. Always good to have options. But it certainly feels nicer to play with this controller. Ooh. If I was a little bit eager on the throttle still. Whoop. Oh, it's all coming back to me now. Sitting on the floor, legs crossed, playing with a controller. However, those days of playing with the controller, they're gone for me. I want to sit in the rig and I want to enjoy myself whilst I'm in it. So, would I buy Project Motor Racing today with my own money? I'm afraid the answer would have to be no. If I was still PlayStation 5 only, I probably would, because my options there are quite limited. However, being a PC sim racer, I'd have to say no. There's nothing that Project Motor Racing does better than any of the other options that I have currently. So that's the reason that I wouldn't go and buy it. I believe personally that if it's supported correctly, Project Motor Racing will one day be a very good game. However, I don't really think today is that day. I feel as though it's been rushed out of the door when it could have done with some more time in the oven. We all know what gaming's like these days. Release today, patch tomorrow. But on PC at least, there's other games that are further on in their life cycles that are already in a better state than Project Motor Racing. A huge problem for me is the claims that are made by developers or publishers before a game's released. Benchmark physics and handling? No. The most advanced AI we've ever created? No, not at all. It's a full game, it's not early access, it's complete. No, it's not. It still needs a good few patches, so those claims, they're absolute garbage. For single player, I'd choose Automobilista 2. For online multiplayer, I choose Le Mans Ultimate. I didn't try the online portion of Project Motor Racing simply because I didn't like the way the game handled, so I wouldn't play it online anyway. I simply wouldn't play the sim, I would choose to play something else. I have a finite amount of time every week to spend in the rig, and that's the time that I want to sit there and enjoy sim racing. Project Motor Racing is not garbage, it's not terrible, it's not bad. It's just that on PC at least, there's much better options. So at this moment in time, I wouldn't purchase Project Motor Racing, but in the future, a couple of patches down the road, 12 months down the road, as I say, if supported correctly, I think the potential is there. But it's just not there right at this moment in time. As always, I've been the Reverend. Thank you very much for watching.